Welcome to the latest season of the Aussie Screen Printing Club, the podcast that's all about the commercial end of screen printing. Okay, well, it has been absolutely ages, not quite sure how long, but certainly months, certainly quarters of years since we have been back on this show. A huge apology from me to anyone that was keen to listen. I have had some emails from you saying, where have you gone? What's going on? Enjoyed the podcast? Are you not doing it anymore? The real answer is I'm not sure whether we were doing it anymore, but I am sure now that we are. And frankly, life just got too busy. I did not know that running a podcast was as hard as it is. It seems like it should be super easy, and it ain't. So apologies again. We've just been real busy, and it's hard work running one. However, we are back. Now, you will notice I'm using the pronoun we, not they, not I, just we. And that is because this new format of the Aussie Screen Printers Club is changing. We now are going to have a co-host who is taking ownership along with me of the show. And so I'm really excited about that. You don't have to listen to me blathering on, as they say, where I come from forever. We can now have someone else blather along with us, as well as our guests. We don't have a guest today other than our new co-host. So I'm going to, without further ado, introduce Josh Paterson from North Print in the North, and I'll let him tell you who he is. He's been on the show before. But Josh, tell us who you are again, where you're from, a bit about your print shop, if you wouldn't mind. And welcome to your show as well.
Thanks, Sam. Really excited to be able to jump on here and join you and chat to other people in the industry, especially in Australia. I think it's pretty cool to be able to get a local view rather than just listen to the podcasts overseas.
Yeah, and I'm sure everyone in Australia listens to the others, and I do. But yeah, it's nice to have something Aussie, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I do screen printing, embroidery. We're dipping our toes in a bit of that promo space now, up here in Toowoomba. Still a pretty young business. I'm just going on about a year doing it full time. So that's pretty exciting. It goes pretty quickly. But yeah, loving it.
Enjoying it. You gave up doing the other work. When was it again? You said about a year ago?
Yeah, just end of the month will be a year ago since I stopped veggie farming and started printing shirts full time, which is a pretty different industry, but shirts don't die and you don't have to water them, so that's pretty cool.
That's right. They catch fire now and again, but it's so true.
Yeah,
And was that scary, like moving away from one and jumping into the other, lock, stock, and barrel?
yeah, especially um, for me, I was managing one of the farms and coming like like that sort of farming life was sort of I made it my identity, I guess. Being uh, a young person in the industry at that sort of scale and that sort of thing, and then sort of when everyone in the district and around us sort of found out Josh was leaving the farm to go print t-shirts, it was a pretty big thing, but it was sort of nerve-wracking just going from that to now I have to make sure it works. But we sort of um, had been leading up to it for a while, um, and sort of got our ducks in a row pretty well that we would be able to do it, um, and sort of just had the confidence that if I was doing it full time, I could make it work.
I think the word confidence is everything in that, isn't it? Like, you never do it until you have a level of confidence, but at the end of the day, you do have to kind of jump in and swim. Yeah, cool.
Mm.
All right. Give me one high for the last week or couple of weeks or whatever, and one low, if you wouldn't mind. not in your personal life necessarily, but certainly in your screen printing embroidery life.
Um, Probably the most recent hires we got some large magnetic embroidery hoops arrived yesterday. Um, so that's pretty awesome. Been wanting some of them for a long time. Um, Coming into winter, we do a lot of like left center chest, big embroidery,
Yeah, right.
and when you've got a hoop, like a large hoop on fleece, it's such a pain. So being able to use magnetic hoops for that too um, is a big thing, a lot quicker. Um, and I think it'll be a bit better result. Don't have to, a couple of times you probably, like sometimes you would not have it hooped quite tight enough and you can see a few issues, but
Mm,
um, I think that'll be good for especially teaching other people to take over that side of production a bit more. They
mm.
can't stuff that up too much then.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what about your low?
I don't know about low. Uh,
Good sign.
yeah, we've been, it's all been going pretty well at the moment. Uh, I did happen to, I went to the APA trade show in Brisbane a week or two ago, and uh, it was just after my wedding, and we probably should have said that was a highlight too.
Congratulations. I hope your wife isn't
Thank you.
listening.
Yeah, talking about my
My high was
embroidery
about
hoops instead
magnetic
of the wedding.
hoops.
Yeah. Um, but we had some family up from around Australia, so they were at the coast. So I went to um, Appa in Brisbane, and then went up to the Sunshine Coast afterwards to see them. And while I was up there, we had a box of shirts arrive, and it wasn't our normal post. You would normally leave it in a spot that is out of the elements, and it was raining on the Sunshine Coast, but it was mostly fine in Toowoomba. And then on the Sunday, when we were coming back, uh, I looked on the cameras and saw it was raining and the box was getting wet, but it didn't look like it was getting like soaked. So I was hoping it just hadn't gone through the box. And it got home, it looked like it just wet the top. And I probably should have dug through the box a little bit more. But a few days later, when I went to go print them, they were all full of mold because they'd all gotten wet. So um, had to replace a few shirts. So that was probably the the worst thing in the last couple of weeks, I guess.
That's frustrating. That kind of thing's very upsetting, I guess, when that happens.
Mm,
Um,
they're all re-tagged, well, had the tags taken out, which is probably the worst part. It was just some stock staples, but there were classic tees with the tags taken out.
um, okay, well, highs and lows for me. Um, I didn't get married, so I can't forget that one. Got married a long time ago. Um, let's start with the low, get that out of the way. We have been looking for new premises for over a year, and we have looked at one, two, three, four, five, six, seven places in that time. We have the opportunity to move into um, two big units that are being built, and we're supposed to be finished in June last year. And it's just been an ongoing saga. And but it is getting there. Every day the guys are in here printing and they look out the big door and they can see whether the builders have turned up or not. It drives them mad. But the downer is simply that we found a place that was such good value financially and just looked like it was set up for us. You know, had this long kind of set of offices that we could turn into screen storage, wet area, um, pre-press, and a little bit of stock room and offices itself. Huge yard for warehouse for actually printing. I reckon we could get 4 autos in there. and kitchen and smoko and all the usual things. And it was just like, wow, this is a gift. Not only that, the landlord is a guy I know and is a good guy, and quite happy
Hmm.
to be sort of working under him, as it were. And so we signed a heads of agreement, and we're moving forward with leases. But all the time that I've been in to visit it, the current tenant was there moving out. So he
Oh,
had trucks and utes in there, and he was chucking the stuff on to get it out. And then I went in there one night with a colleague here after he'd got this, a vendor had gone, which ironically was the other screen printer that went out of business. And so it was empty for the first time. And then again, I was going around videoing it, going, "Oh, how cool is this?" And realized that the floor was actually on a drained angle. It was on a tilt, and it had a
oh,
drain running one third down. And I couldn't get over it. Like immediately, I was like, "How do I set up a table? Like, you're gonna have long legs at one end and short legs at the other. And if you've got any short people working for you, it's just like this is not going to work." And then I thought, "How do I run a press? Like an a
hmm.
bench press? Without the bearings wearing out?" And I spoke to Howard and Anatole about it, and everyone was like, "You can build up the concrete, maybe put it on special legs, but it's quite an incline." And I was like, "This
Is
is
it, does it drain from the outside into the center?
yeah,
Ah,
yeah,
interesting.
yeah." And as we all know, it doesn't rain that much where I am, at least, and but when it does, I don't want to be in that shed. But I was gutted, and of course we'd started the process of leases and lawyers, and so there are costs involved, which was okay. But it was more the kind of depressive feeling that came over me of, wow, I've got this sorted, to, oh my goodness, I'm back at square one. And we
Hmm.
had to let that landlord down, which was a shame. So
Mm.
that's my low. We've got a couple of others that we're looking at now, including the one here. And I think we'll probably end up in this one. This one is too big that is being built here. But so they're building three new units. We're looking to take two because one is not much bigger than where we currently are, but two is, well, basically this is, what is this? This is 120. If I take the two, it'll be 420. But if I take the one, it's just not quite a big enough jump.
Yeah.
So we're going to be rattling around like a lizard in a tin, really. But I think it will be good. We get two sets of power, which is also a gift.
Okay.
Um, so that's been a low, because you put so much energy into what's the insurance, what are the rates, what are the other outgoings, do we have enough
Mm.
electricity, how much, what are the thickness of the cables on the pole outside, things that you just spend hours trying to work out and getting electricians, and then you have to stop. So that was a real bummer. A high, see, I'll probably struggle to find the high of the week. Um, we've had a couple of well, not major, but real problems in our process where urgent orders, I don't know if you cater for urgent orders or whether you try and put customers off. What do you do?
We don't get heaps of them. When we do, I'll just try and I'll give them sort of a realistic, like it's not, they might say we need something. It's not very tight turnarounds because it takes a bit of time for us to get stuff up here with all the warehouses in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I just try my best to try and get their stuff to the front of the queue, I guess.
It's so hard. And again, it's going to sound like a downer, so I hope I get to the high. Um, we have a number of tactics. One is to say, look, this is the standard turnaround. We can probably do it quicker, but there is a surcharge for that. We charge
Hmm.
30% extra, and it's aimed at just trying to put people off. If that's I don't know, if that's a brewery that are just wanting their merch as soon as can be done, then they'll either pay for it or they won't. But we don't feel there's a big issue. But if it's like a kids' camp, that's timed
Hmm.
for Easter holidays, like the ones that are coming up, then you kind of feel more obliged. If they say they can't afford it, if we feel more obliged to make it happen.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, the point is that so we've had a ton of them, and Martini does all of the ordering and the quotes and mock-ups and everything, and deals with the question of whether it can be done with Lydia, the production director. And what usually happens, she'll go out there and say, "Can we do this for this date?" And Lydia will look at it and go, "Yeah." But then Lydia won't see all of the new orders that are coming in at the same time.
Hmm.
That one automatically gets added to the bottom, and we normally
Hmm.
fix that. But then she won't notice it. It start to surface, and she'll go, "What the hell's this? Well, you
Yep.
agreed to it." So anyway, is this a high? Yes, it is. Simply because it's been happening so much that Lydia and Martini sat down and said, "Okay, we need to rebuild the process." Now, from where I come from in life with management consulting, that to me is gold because it indicates that people know there's a process and
Hmm.
that there needs to be a process and that they need to work out how to fix it. And they sat down and said, "Look, this is now, how this is going to happen and how we're going to manage the movement of orders that come through in one part of our system into what we call the PPQ, the production print queue, correctly so that they're noticed." And that was just kind of exciting to see the business do that without too much
Mm.
involvement from me. Um, so yeah, it's a pretty boring high, I know, but still, it kind of gave me a confidence that if I'm not here, um, maybe things will work them, the company
Mm.
will work them out. So yeah, that was it. And how about busyness? Are you super busy at the moment in the business, or are you with orders, for example, or with other things you're getting on with?
Yeah. We had a very slow start to the year. Like I think everyone I've spoken to said similar things. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, just March, sort of mid-March, it just started really picking up and ended up being our biggest month to date. So that was big
Amazing.
about the sales, and now it's just been catching up on production. So that's been um, where I've been mostly, just trying to get all the work done now. But we're sort of coming to the end of that big rush, and then I can jump on and try and sell some more stuff again.
That's very similar to the pattern that we've experienced. January. So I don't know whether you set sales targets or how you do that, but have a we analyze what we did last year. We apply a percentage growth to it, which this might sound a bit bonkers, but we try to make that less and less each year. Um,
Mhm.
there are sort of more corporate reasons for doing that. And in January and Feb, we were way down on sales, like, you know, 20-30%. And it's
Mhm.
kind of like, oh, wow, I wonder what's happening this year. And then March came in and boom, we had
Mhm.
like you, one of our highest, for us, it was our third highest ever.
Okay.
And we were like, wow, that's pretty cool. And things look like they're going pretty well. We're over the 50% of our target already. But you just never know. Like, Easter, it can be a good one or it can be a bad one. I sometimes wonder about where Easter sits, how it moves each year
Mhm.
and whether that affects sales in line with kids' camps and things. But yeah, and then of course we get into May and June, which for us gets busy. I think that's the same for you. June would be our busiest month generally. Is that same?
Yeah. Last year it was for me. Not that I have that much data to go off of, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think you do a lot of uniforms, so you get a lot of businesses dumping cash.
Hmm.
That ain't a problem for you, but taking it away from them.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. And any big plans on the horizon for you with the business? Just same as
Um,
usual, or you planning
no,
something?
got a bit going on at the moment. We have a shed when we bought our house, we did it up and upgraded the the power to the property and sort of set it up to do the production out of. And then in December, we took over some showroom and office space, sort of 5 minutes down the road,
Oh,
which has been really good. Um, so we have somewhere to show customers some samples and for them to pick things up.
yeah, nice.
Um, and then also hired a graphic designer um, at the start of the year. Uh, and she's been awesome for sort of letting me let go of some of the
Yeah,
stuff that I'm not that great at and
yeah,
doesn't need to be me doing it.
yeah.
But we're hopefully maybe taking over the whole building. We just sort of sublease some space in it. But it's got some warehouse space out the back.
Oh,
Um,
right. Magic.
and yeah, so um, the electrician was supposed to come this week to check it out and see what powers here so we can sort of plan for the future. But he's coming Monday, so hopefully, if it's all good, it's in a sort of old warehouse, so it's got a lot of meters and stuff in it. So I'm hoping the power's no problem, and then yeah, that'd be very convenient for us because, like you in Toowoomba, there's not heaps of options for commercial space, and it's pretty expensive here too. Um, I think this is pretty up there too, but I think it's pretty well set up uh, for us to grow into for a little bit without yeah, sort of locking in for a, a long lease, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that sounds awesome. And right now, so you're saying you've got the showroom, office space, and the shed at the house.
Mm.
How do you work between the two? Or do you have someone down there and you're working back at the shed, or like, or do you have to run between the two? How does that
Yeah,
work?
there's a lot of there's a lot of running back and forth. Catherine works at the uh, like the building, the showrooms and office. So if customers need to pick something up, she'll usually be there. Um, but yeah, I mostly sort of I still like to do. I have like my computers and stuff set up here, so I like to do the sort of computer work and office work here. Um, but I still have to go home and do the production there.
Yeah,
But it has been pretty good for bringing on some bigger customers this year, doing a bit of like oil and gas type stuff. And although we've got the same sort of equipment, or if not better than the other sort of embroidery or print places in town, there's still a bit of like a I think stigma attached. Kind of then it's like, oh, I come through to the shed out the back. Um, so having that um, bit more professional sort of view from the customer has
mm,
been good,
mm,
but it's definitely not convenient, and it's not. I'm sort of seeing um, some sort of bottlenecks because like I could also have Catherine doing some like counting in stuff and sort of getting jobs ready in between things too. Um, whereas it's not really an option at the moment because she'll have to drive to the shed. So um, I think having it all in one place will, although it's a lot bigger cost for us, I think it'll be a bit more efficient. Um, and also for our shipping, the software we use or company we use has to be out of like a commercial premises. So I'll get everything delivered to home and then print it or embroider it and then bring it to the showroom and then
okay.
it has to be shipped from there. So, um, but then there's not always someone here. So if I have stuff going out that afternoon, I have to make sure I'm doing office work. So I'm here to let them in.
Like you say, a lot of running back and forward. Well, that'll make a huge difference if you can move in. Does that look like you mentioned about the electricity and everything, but in terms of like the leasing arrangements and the timing of that, that it's vacant now?
It's so that's we do need to confirm it a little bit because we're subleasing from someone at the moment, but we'd be essentially taking over their lease.
Yep.
So um, once we know the power's good, I'll chat to them further about how that is going to work and get the agent involved and seeing like that everything's kosher, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, otherwise it's a building company and they mostly have it just to keep their sort of materials in for jobs. But they don't need a office really, and they're buying a new property with a big shed on it. So he's like, we don't really need it, so it's yours if you want it. So
You will be giving it
that,
up. Yeah. Perfect.
mm,
Wow.
yeah.
And how far away is it from home? Is it like, you're in the center of Toowoomba, are you? Like you, yeah. So how far is it from home to work?
Oh, it's only probably 5 minutes or so. It's very close. Depends on the traffic a little bit. Um, this place, we never really wanted to, or we don't need, nor really want a retail location or somewhere that's very noticeable because like the sort of jobs you get from that are never the ones you sort of want. But this happens to be on the like main road in Toowoomba, at a sort of really busy spot in the mornings and the afternoons. So um, I think maybe some signage with just like by appointment only on the doors and stuff
Yeah.
might be a sort of good balance between getting a lot of traffic going past and then also sort of we're not a retail shop kind of thing.
Yeah. It's hard though. You'll still get people turn up with a t-shirt and say, "Can you print this?" Um,
Yeah, we're getting a lot more phone calls this year too. Change some like Google settings. And yeah, we're getting a lot more of, I've got a couple of towels to embroider with my grandson's name. And it's, I usually just refer them on to someone else that's a bit more set up for that.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of depressing, but I feel like because that was our deal, right? We came out of a garage, double garage into
Hmm.
warehouse with a tiny office. We're in a part of town that most people don't even know exists. And
Mm.
people come in, they go, "Oh, I didn't know you were here. How long have you been here?" And we say, "We've been here for 3 years." Oh, wow. Um, but then the word gets around, you know what I mean? So they tell their friend and so on. And we're
Mm.
seeing a lot more local businesses. We're national like you, but we like to do what we can locally. As I mentioned earlier, the other screen printer is now officially gone bust. Um, and it's quite a funny story, but I'll maybe tell that another time. Um, and so, a lot of their custom is simply looking online and coming to us. But we get, we had a big chat. Well, maybe we should reduce our minimum to five. Our minimum's 20.
Hmm.
We market at 56. So most of our orders are 56 and upwards. So we did decide to reduce it to 10.
Okay.
And now we're back at 20. It's just
Yeah.
such a lot of hassle, you know.
Hmm.
It's just that the same setup time, um, whether you've got 10 or 1,000. And
Mm.
it's so annoying when you've just got 10. But what I was going to say there again is that it has meant that the word gets out more, even if someone comes in for a single t-shirt, which we can't do. Um,
Mm.
so there are pluses to it as well. But yeah, you
Hmm.
start getting those kind of customers that drive you a bit mad. Um,
Yeah.
oh, but that's super exciting. What's your timeline? When do you think that'll be in a box?
I'm hoping sort of June maybe. Um, main thing I'm
Yeah.
doing this marketing course that I think I sold my like firstborn to pay for it pretty much.
Oh,
It's
really?
pretty expensive, but it it sort of runs out those payments. I think I've got two more this month and next month. So sort of when I did it at the time, I thought I don't know what I was thinking, but I thought it was a great move. But it has been good to sort of give me a bit of reassurance that sort of like the money that I'm paying for that plus the rent now is sort of what the rent of the whole building is going to cost. So I know that we can do it. Um, so yeah, I just sort of want our sort of landlords in no rush. So I'm just going to let that all run out and then yeah, hopefully sort of June. will be in here.
Amazing. That's marketing. That sounds good. What? Tell us more about that. What's been going on with that?
It's been it is a good course. It's very in depth. It's supposed to be a 6 week course, um, but I think it's 6 weeks if you did it full time.
Okay.
The videos and stuff are quite long, but it is good. Sort of, it's a lot of like advertising, sort of learning about sort of good ways to do it, how like sort of competitive research and sort of seeing what they are sort of paying Google for and what sort of things people customers are looking for.
Yeah.
Um, but I've done probably a week worth of that 6 weeks. So, but I'm sort of hoping once we're a bit more uh, set up with systems and a bit more streamlined, I'll be able to get stuck into that a bit more.
Mm, wow, that's very cool. Yeah, there's a lot of info there to share. Okay. Well, I think we should probably end there. It's just a short intro for you to tell everyone again. Thanks so much for hanging on. I think we've done a few thousand downloads now, so it's being listened to. But obviously, consistency of content is what people want, and at least output of it. So thanks again for our listeners hanging on. Welcome to the new format. Welcome to Josh. It's good to have you, man.
Be
Um,
good.
and yeah, let's get cracking. But we'll see you next time. All right.
Sounds great.
See you
Thanks,
later.
Sam.
See ya.